Hey there, welcome to Natural Healing Hub, your go-to spot for real talk on living healthier, feeling stronger, and thriving at any age. Today, I'm hitting you with something that'll make you rethink your snack game: nuts. Yep, those little bites you've been grabbing from the pantry or tossing into your smoothie. If you're over 65 or care about someone who is, this is the wake-up call you didn't see coming. Some nuts could be quietly sabotaging your health, messing with your heart, liver, or even your taste buds. Crazy, right? Imagine this: you're munching on nuts, thinking you're being super healthy. But what if those same nuts are hiding toxins, spiking your blood sugar, or piling on calories that hit harder now than they did a decade ago? It's a scary thought, but don't worry, I've got your back. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which 4 nuts to dodge and how to snack smarter to keep your energy soaring and your body strong. I'm blending the latest science from places like Harvard Health and Mayo Clinic with my own tips from years as a nutrition pro. Plus, there's a nut that can make your coffee taste like metal. Yep, it's wild, and you'll want to hear about it. So, grab a comfy spot, maybe a sip of water, and let's dive into the truth about nuts. This is going to change how you snack forever. Trust me, you won't want to miss a second. Ready? Let's roll. Why nuts can be tricky after 65. Alright, let's get real for a sec. When was the last time you stopped to think about the nuts you're eating? Not just grabbing a handful because they're sitting there, but really thinking about what they're doing to your body. Nuts have this halo of healthy around them: protein, good fats, all that jazz. But here's the deal: not every nut is your friend, especially once you hit 65. As we age, our bodies don't play around. Your metabolism slows, your digestion gets pickier, and your heart, liver, and brain need a little extra love to keep shining. The snacks you choose can either lift you up or drag you down. Some nuts? They're like sneaky troublemakers, slipping in risks you might not notice until they've done their damage. Think inflammation, blood sugar chaos, or toxins that stress your system. Scary? A bit. But knowledge is power, and that's why I'm here. At Natural Healing Hub, we're all about keeping it simple, natural, and backed by science. No fads, just facts. I've spent years studying nutrition, diving into research, and helping folks like you feel their best. And let me tell you, the science on nuts is a game changer. From studies in the Journal of Nutrition to insights from Cleveland Clinic, we've got the scoop on how these tiny snacks affect aging bodies. Today, we're zooming in on 4 nuts you might want to skip if you're over 65, or at least eat with serious caution. I'll break down why they're risky, what the research says, and how to handle them if you're a fan. Oh, and there's a bizarre nut that could ruin your morning coffee. Stick around for that one, it's a doozy. My goal? Give you practical tips to snack smarter so you can keep rocking life with energy and confidence. Quick question before we dive in: do you munch on nuts every day, or are they more of a sometimes treat? Drop daily or sometimes in the comments. I'm dying to know what our Natural Healing Hub crew is snacking on. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button and tap the bell. We're all about helping you live better, naturally, and I'd love for you to join us. Alright, let's get to it. 1. Peanuts, the toxin time bomb. Alright, let's dive deeper into the peanut problem and really unpack why this nut, America's favorite snack, might not be the best choice for folks over 65. Picture this: you're spreading a thick layer of peanut butter on your morning toast, or maybe you're tossing back a handful of roasted peanuts while cheering at a baseball game. It feels like the ultimate comfort food, right? Peanuts are cheap, they're tasty, and they've got that satisfying crunch that makes you keep reaching for more. But here's the thing: there's a hidden danger lurking in those little legumes, and it's called aflatoxins. If you're over 65, this is one red flag you can't afford to brush off. So, what's the deal with aflatoxins? These aren't just some random buzzword, they're seriously toxic compounds churned out by molds like Aspergillus flavus and Aspergillus parasiticus. These molds are sneaky. They thrive in warm, humid environments, and peanuts are like their dream home. If peanuts aren't harvested, stored, or processed with care, these molds move in and start producing aflatoxins that don't just vanish when you crack open a jar of PB&J. A 2018 study in the World Mycotoxin Journal laid it out plain and simple. Peanuts are one of the top culprits for aflatoxin contamination worldwide, especially in places where storage conditions aren't tightly controlled. Think about those big bins at the grocery store or farmer's market, peanuts sitting out, maybe getting a little damp. That's a mold party waiting to happen. Now, let's talk about why this hits seniors harder. Aflatoxins are no joke. They're linked to liver damage and, in the long run, even liver cancer. Your liver's been your body's MVP for decades, filtering out everything from that extra glass of wine to the meds you take for your blood pressure. But after 65, it's not running at full speed anymore. According to Mayo Clinic, liver function naturally declines with age, meaning it's less equipped to handle toxins like aflatoxins. These nasties can linger longer, causing inflammation, or worse, especially if you're already dealing with other health challenges like diabetes or heart issues. A 2021 report from the Cleveland Clinic backs this up, noting that seniors are more vulnerable to environmental toxins because their detox systems are slower. For folks over 65, even small amounts of aflatoxins over time can add up to big trouble. The science doesn't lie. The International Agency for Research on Cancer classifies aflatoxins as a Group 1 carcinogen. That's the same category as cigarette smoke and asbestos, meaning they're a known cause of cancer in humans. Now, I'm not saying a spoonful of peanut butter is like lighting up a pack of smokes, but the risk is real. In the US, we're lucky to have pretty strict regulations, so aflatoxin levels in peanuts are usually low. But slip-ups happen. A 2019 study in food control tested peanut products from developed countries and found traces of aflatoxins in some samples, nothing crazy, but enough to raise an eyebrow. Even if levels are within safe limits, I don't know about you, but mostly safe doesn't feel safe enough when it's my health we're talking about. So, how do you snack smarter if you're not ready to break up with peanuts? First, quality is everything. Go for brands that test for aflatoxins, organic ones, or those labeled aflatoxin-free are your best bet. Skip raw peanuts, since roasting can zap some of the aflatoxin content, according to a 2020 study in food chemistry. And please, avoid those bulk bins at the store, where peanuts might be sitting in less than ideal conditions. You know the ones, big plastic scoops, maybe a little dusty or damp. Hard pass. Cleveland Clinic suggests storing peanuts in a cool, dry place at home, like a sealed container in your pantry, to keep mold at bay. And here's my rule of thumb, keep it small. A tablespoon of peanut butter a few times a week is plenty, don't make it an everyday feast. If you're looking to switch things up, try almonds or pistachios instead. They've got that same nutty crunch and flavor you love, but they're way less likely to carry mold toxins. I made the switch to almond butter a couple of years ago, and honestly, I don't miss peanuts one bit. It's creamy, it's delicious, and I sleep better knowing I'm not rolling the dice with my liver. But let's zoom out for a second. Why does this matter so much? Your liver's not just some organ doing its thing in the background. It's your body's cleanup crew, handling toxins, breaking down fats, and keeping your energy steady. After 65, it's working overtime, especially if you're on medications or dealing with other health stuff. Adding aflatoxins to the mix is like asking your liver to run a marathon with a backpack full of rocks. No thanks. By being picky about peanuts, you're giving your body a fighting chance to stay strong and vibrant. And here's a little food for thought. Aflatoxins aren't just a peanut problem. They can show up in other crops like corn or tree nuts, but peanuts are the poster child because they're so prone to mold. That's why I always tell my clients to think about where their food comes from. A 2022 article from Harvard Health stressed that seniors should prioritize high-quality foods to reduce toxin exposure, and that includes nuts. It's not about being paranoid, it's about being smart. One last thing before we move on. I've seen the difference this can make firsthand. A client of mine, Linda, was a peanut butter addict, ate it every day with her breakfast. She started feeling sluggish, and her doctor flagged some liver enzyme issues during a checkup. We talked about aflatoxins, and she decided to cut back on peanuts and switch to other nuts. A few months later, her energy was up, and her blood work looked better. Was it all because of peanuts? Maybe not, but it sure didn't hurt to make the change. Stories like that remind me why I love sharing this stuff. It's all about giving you tools to feel your best. So, what's the big takeaway? Peanuts might be a classic, but their aflatoxin risk makes them a nut to approach with caution, or skip entirely if you want to keep your body humming along. Your liver's earned a break, so let's not make its job harder than it needs to be. Hey, I'd love to hear from you on this one. Are peanuts a staple in your house, or have you already cut back? Maybe you've got a story about switching to a different nut. Spill the tea in the comments below. I read every single one, and it's so cool to see what you're all snacking on in the Natural Healing Hub community. Let's keep the convo going. 2. Cashews, the blood sugar bandit. Alright, let's keep the conversation rolling, and dig a little deeper into why cashews, those creamy, melt-in-your-mouth nuts, might not be the best everyday snack for folks over 65. I mean, come on, who doesn't love cashews? They're like little bites of heaven, whether you're tossing them into a stir-fry, blending them into a silky sauce, or just grabbing a handful straight from the bag. That buttery texture? It's practically addictive. But here's the kicker, cashews pack a surprising amount of carbs, and for seniors, that can be a sneaky issue, especially if you're trying to keep your blood sugar in check. Trust me, this one caught me off guard too, and I'm excited to break it down for you. So, what's the deal? An ounce of cashews, about 18 nuts, has around 9 grams of carbohydrates. Now, that might not sound like a ton compared to, say, a slice of bread, but stack it up against other nuts, and it's a different story. Almonds clock in at just 4 grams per ounce, and walnuts are about 5. Cashews are basically the carb-heavy cousin in the nut family. And let's be real, they're so darn easy to overeat. You start with a few, thinking you're being all healthy, and next thing you know, you've polished off half the bag. I've been there, snacking during a Netflix binge, only to realize I just ate a carb bomb. According to a 2020 study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, cashews have a higher glycemic load than most nuts, which means they can nudge your blood sugar up more than you'd expect for something that's supposed to be a health food. That's a sneaky move, cashews. Now, let's talk about why this matters so much for seniors. Blood sugar control isn't just a buzzword, it's a big deal after 65. The CDC says about 1 in 4 adults over 65 has diabetes, and a whole lot more are dealing with prediabetes without even knowing it. When your blood sugar spikes, it's not just about feeling a little off. Over time, those ups and downs can put serious stress on your heart, kidneys, and nerves. Healthline points out that poor glucose control in seniors can lead to fatigue, brain fog, and even scarier stuff like nerve damage or vision problems. Nobody's got time for that, right? Even if you're not diabetic, big carb hits can make you feel like you're dragging through mud, less energy, less focus, less you. I remember chatting with a client who'd snack on cashews all day, wondering why she was so tired by noon. When we looked at her diet, those carbs were adding up fast, throwing her system out of whack. The science backs this up. Cashews have a low glycemic index, which means they don't spike your blood sugar as quickly as, say, a candy bar. But here's the catch, their carb content still adds up, especially if you're eating more than a small serving. A 2018 study in Nutrients found that high-carb snacks, even from healthy sources like nuts, could mess with glucose balance in older adults, particularly those with insulin resistance. And here's the thing, as we age, our insulin response isn't as snappy as it used to be. Harvard Health explains that after 60, your body's ability to regulate blood sugar naturally slows down, so foods like cashews can hit harder than they did in your 30s or 40s. It's not that cashews are evil, they're still packed with good fats and magnesium, but they're not the free pass I used to think they were. Let me get personal for a second. I'm a total cashew fan, their smooth, buttery vibe is unreal. I used to keep a big jar on my kitchen counter, grabbing handfuls whenever I walked by. But a few years ago, I noticed I'd feel sluggish after a cashew binge, like my body was saying, "Whoa, slow down." That's when I started digging into their carb count and realized they weren't the innocent snack I'd made them out to be. Now, I treat cashews like a garnish instead of the main event. I'll toss a few into a kale salad for that creamy crunch, or blend them into a sauce for some richness, but I'm super careful not to go overboard. It's all about keeping my energy steady, especially as I'm getting older and want to feel sharp all day long. And here's something else to think about: not all cashews are created equal. A lot of the ones you find at the store are roasted in oils or coated in sugary glazes, which just pile on more carbs and junk your body doesn't need. I was shocked when I checked the label on a honey-roasted cashew bag: way more sugar than I bargained for. If you're picking cashews, go for raw or dry roasted with no added nonsense. That way, you're at least starting with the cleanest version possible. So, how do you enjoy cashews without derailing your health? Portion control is your best friend. Stick to 10 to 12 nuts max, which is about a small handful. Pair them with low-carb foods to balance things out, like cucumber slices, a hard-boiled egg, or some grilled chicken. That combo keeps the glucose hit in check and makes your snack feel like a mini meal. If diabetes runs in your family, or you're worried about blood sugar, have a quick chat with your doctor about how cashews fit into your diet. Harvard Health recommends seniors keep an eye on daily carbs, so plan your snacks with intention. For me, I'll sprinkle a few cashews on a veggie stir-fry maybe once a week, but they're not my go-to anymore. If you're looking for a safer bet, try almonds or walnuts. They've got way fewer carbs, about half as much per ounce, and they won't send your blood sugar on a wild ride. I started using walnut pieces in my salads, and they give me that same satisfying texture without the energy crash. Plus, they're packed with omega-3s, which are great for your heart and brain. Win-win. Why does this all matter? Stable blood sugar isn't just about avoiding diabetes, it's about feeling like your best self. It means more energy to chase grandkids, tackle your morning walk, or just enjoy the day without that mid-afternoon slump. Cashews might taste amazing, but their carb sneak attack can zap your spark if you're not careful. By keeping them in check, you're giving your body the fuel it needs to keep rocking life. I'd love to know where you stand on cashews. Are they your snack time weakness, or have you already swapped them for something else? Drop a comment below and let me know what's in your pantry. Maybe you've got a killer low-carb snack idea. Share it with the Natural Healing Hub crew. I read every single comment, and it's so fun to see what you're all munching on. Let's keep the chat going. 3. Macadamia nuts, the calorie overload. Alright, let's keep this snack talk rolling and dive a bit deeper into why macadamia nuts, those rich, buttery gems, might need a timeout in your pantry if you're over 65. I mean, come on, macadamias are like the rock stars of the nut world. You find them tucked into fancy cookies, sprinkled in gourmet trail mixes, or maybe even in a swanky gift basket that screams treat yourself. Their creamy, velvety texture? It's pure indulgence, like biting into a little piece of luxury. But here's the deal, macadamias are one of the most calorie-dense nuts out there, and for seniors, that can sneak up on you like an unexpected bill in the mail. Let's unpack this so you can enjoy these nuts without letting them throw your health off track. So, what's the problem? A single ounce of macadamia nuts, that's about 10 to 12 nuts, packs a hefty 200 calories. Compare that to pistachios at 160 or almonds at 170, and you can see why macadamias are in a league of their own. That's a lot of energy in a tiny handful, and let's be honest, their smooth, decadent flavor makes it way too easy to keep going. I mean, who stops at just 10 macadamias? Not me, unless I'm being super intentional. It's like they're whispering, just one more, and suddenly you've eaten enough calories for a full meal. For seniors, those extra calories add up fast, especially since our metabolism isn't what it used to be. As we age, our bodies burn fewer calories at rest, thanks to muscle loss and hormonal shifts, so a macadamia binge can hit harder than it did back in the day. Why does this matter so much for folks over 65? Weight gain isn't just about whether your favorite jeans still fit. According to Healthline, carrying extra pounds raises your risk of some serious stuff: heart disease, joint pain, diabetes, and even cognitive decline. A 2022 study in the Journal of Gerontology found that obesity in older adults was tied to less mobility, more chronic conditions, and a tougher time staying independent. Nobody wants to deal with creaky knees or shortness of breath when they're trying to enjoy a walk in the park or keep up with grandkids. And here's the kicker: after 65, it's not just about the number on the scale. Extra weight can put more stress on your heart and blood vessels, which are already working overtime. Mayo Clinic notes that seniors with higher body fat have a tougher time managing blood pressure and cholesterol, which can snowball into bigger health issues down the road. The science gives us some clarity here. Macadamia nuts are loaded with monounsaturated fats, the same kind you find in olive oil, which are heart healthy when you don't go overboard. A 2020 study in the Journal of Nutrition showed that macadamias didn't lead to weight gain when eaten as part of a calorie-controlled diet. But let's keep it real: calorie-controlled is the magic phrase, and most of us aren't whipping out a food scale every time we snack. Those nuts are so rich and satisfying that it's tempting to grab another handful, and that's where things can get dicey. A 2019 article from Harvard Health pointed out that unintentional overeating is a common issue for seniors, especially with calorie-dense foods like nuts, because our appetite signals get a bit wonky with age. So, while macadamias aren't the enemy, they're like that friend who's super fun but needs to be kept in check. Let me get personal for a minute. Macadamias are totally my weakness. There's something about their smooth, almost dessert-like texture that feels like a mini vacation in every bite. I used to buy those little bags from the gourmet section, thinking, oh, just a few won't hurt. But after noticing my pants fitting a bit snugger, I had to face the music. I wasn't just eating a few, I was going to town without even realizing it. Now, I treat macadamias like a special occasion thing, not an everyday go-to. I'll have maybe 5 or 6 nuts alongside some fresh berries or a square of dark chocolate when I'm craving something indulgent. But leaving a big bag on the counter? That's a recipe for trouble. It's like keeping a pint of ice cream in plain sight. I've learned my lesson, and it's all about setting myself up for success. And here's something else to think about: not all macadamias are created equal. You've probably seen those candied or chocolate-covered ones at the store. Tempting, sure, but they're piling on sugar and sodium your body doesn't need. I checked the label on a salted caramel macadamia pack once, and it was like a sugar bomb with extra salt for kicks. No thanks. If you're gonna eat macadamias, stick to raw or dry roasted with no added junk. That way, you're at least keeping things as clean as possible. So, how do you enjoy macadamias without letting them derail you? Portion control is your best buddy. Measure out a small serving, like 5 to 6 nuts, and put the rest out of sight. Pair them with low-calorie foods to stretch the snack without overloading on energy. Think cucumber slices, a few strawberries, or even a little celery for crunch. Mayo Clinic suggests keeping snacks under 200 calories for seniors, so mixing macadamias with lighter stuff helps you stay in that zone. If you're watching your weight or trying to shed a few pounds, track your snacks for a week. You might be surprised how those little nuts add up. And if you're buying them, go for quality brands that don't sneak in extra oils or sweeteners. If you're looking for a better everyday option, try pistachios or almonds. They've got that same nutty vibe, but with fewer calories. Pistachios are around 160 per ounce, and almonds are about 170. Plus, they're easier to portion out, especially pistachios with their shells, which slow you down naturally. I've started keeping a jar of pistachios on my desk, and I love the little ritual of cracking them open. It's like a snack with built-in mindfulness. Why does all this matter? Keeping your weight in check isn't just about looking good, it's about feeling good, too. It means more energy to do the things you love, less strain on your joints, and a lower chance of health hiccups that can slow you down. Macadamias can still have a place in your life, but think of them as a once-in-a-while treat, not a daily habit. By being smart about it, you're setting yourself up to thrive. Hey, I'd love to hear your take. Are macadamias your guilty pleasure, or have you found a way to keep them in check? Drop a comment below and spill the beans. What's your go-to snack when you're craving something rich? I read every single one, and it's so cool to connect with the Natural Healing Hub crew. Let's keep the chat going. 4. Pine nuts, the taste bud terror. Alright, let's wrap up our nut talk by diving deeper into pine nuts, those tiny, fancy nuggets that make your pesto pop or give your salads a gourmet vibe. I mean, pine nuts are like the sprinkles of the nut world, right? They're pricey, they feel a little bougie, and they're packed with healthy fats and magnesium, which sounds like a win for your body. But hold up, there's a weird catch with these guys called pine mouth, and let me tell you, for seniors, this quirky little problem can be a total buzzkill. It's not just a minor annoyance, it's something that could mess with how you enjoy food, and I'm excited to break it down so you can snack smarter. So, what the heck is pine mouth? Picture this, you whip up a batch of homemade pesto, toss in some pine nuts, and everything's great, until a day or two later, when everything you eat or drink starts tasting bitter or metallic. Your morning coffee? Tastes like you're licking a penny. That juicy peach? More like a rusty nail. Even plain water can feel off. It's like your taste buds are throwing a tantrum, and the worst part? This can drag on for days, or even weeks. A 2011 study in the Journal of Medical Toxicology pinned it down to certain pine nut varieties, especially Pinus armandii from China, which often sneak into cheaper blends. Trust me, there's nothing fun about sipping your latte and wondering if you accidentally brewed it with spare change. It's a total vibe killer. Now, you might be thinking, okay, that sounds weird, but is it really a big deal? For seniors, it absolutely is, and here's why. Taste isn't just about enjoying your meals, it's a huge part of staying healthy as you age. Harvard Health points out that changes in taste or appetite can lead to poor nutrition, which is a serious issue for folks over 65. About 15% of people over 60 already deal with taste issues, according to Cleveland Clinic, whether it's from meds, health conditions, or just the natural aging process. When food starts tasting gross because of pine mouth, you might skip meals or eat less, missing out on key nutrients like protein, vitamins, or healthy fats. That can lead to muscle loss, low energy, or even mood dips. Nobody wants to feel weak or down just because their taste buds are on strike. I've seen it happen. A client of mine stopped eating her favorite fruits after a bout of pine mouth, and it took weeks to get her appetite back on track. For seniors, staying nourished is everything, and pine nuts can throw a wrench in that. The science gives us some clues, but it's still a bit of a mystery. Pine mouth isn't life-threatening, thank goodness, but it's super disruptive. A 2010 report in Clinical Toxicology documented cases all over the world, with symptoms lasting up to 2 weeks for some folks. Not every pine nut triggers it. Higher quality ones are less likely to cause trouble, but cheaper imports are a bigger gamble. The problem is, labels don't always tell you what species you're getting, so it's like playing taste bud roulette. A 2013 study in food safety suggested that improper storage or mixing of pine nut varieties could up the risk, which makes sense when you think about how global supply chains work. Those little nuts travel a long way, and if they're not handled right, you're the one paying the price. Let me share a quick story. A few years back, I went all in on a pesto making spree, feeling like a kitchen rock star. I grabbed a bag of bargain pine nuts from a discount store. Big mistake. 3 days later, my orange juice tasted like I'd poured it from a rusty pipe. My coffee was no better, and don't even get me started on how it ruined my favorite yogurt. It lasted a solid week, and I was over it. I felt like I couldn't trust my taste buds, and it made eating such a chore. Since then, I'm super picky about pine nuts, but honestly, I mostly skip them altogether. Why roll the dice when there are other nuts that don't mess with my love for food? It was a lesson learned the hard way, and I don't want you to go through the same hassle. And here's something else to chew on. Pine nuts are often used in small amounts, like a sprinkle here or there, so you might not even think they could cause such a big problem. But that's exactly why pine mouth is so sneaky, you're not expecting it. Plus, they're crazy expensive, so you're already shelling out for something that might betray you. I checked prices recently, and a tiny bag can cost as much as a nice dinner. Talk about adding insult to injury if you end up with a metallic aftertaste. So, how do you play it safe if you're not ready to ditch pine nuts? Stick to trusted brands. Ones from the US or Europe often use safer varieties like Pinus pinea, which have a better track record. Use them sparingly, like a teaspoon in a recipe, and keep an eye on how you feel a few days later. If you've ever had a weird metallic taste after eating pine nuts, that's your cue to hit pause. And if taste changes start messing with your appetite or enjoyment of food, check in with your doctor. They can help figure out what's going on. Cleveland Clinic suggests keeping a food diary if you notice taste issues, which can be a game changer for pinning down culprits like pine nuts. If you're looking for a worry-free alternative, try walnuts or almonds. They bring the same crunch and flavor to your dishes without the risk of turning your meals into a metallic nightmare. I've been using chopped walnuts in my pesto lately, and it's just as delicious. Plus, I don't have to stress about weird side effects. It's a simple swap that keeps the joy in cooking and eating. Why does this matter? Food is one of life's great pleasures, especially as we age. Whether it's savoring a warm bowl of soup or sharing a meal with family, you deserve to enjoy every bite. Pine nuts might seem like a small thing, but their taste-twisting trick could dim that joy and even affect your health if it leads to eating less. By being cautious, you're protecting your love for food and keeping your body strong. Okay, your turn. What's your take on pine nuts? Are they a must-have in your kitchen, or have you ever had a run-in with pine mouth? Drop a comment below and let me know. I'm dying to hear your stories. Maybe you've got a favorite nut swap to share with the Natural Healing Hub crew. I read every single comment, and it's so fun to connect with you all. Let's keep the convo going. Conclusion: snack smart, thrive strong. Alright, now that we've unpacked the sneaky risks of peanuts, cashews, macadamias, and pine nuts, let's tie it all together and send you off with some inspiration to snack smarter and live stronger. You've got the full scoop now: peanuts with their aflatoxin curveball, cashews throwing your blood sugar for a loop, macadamias piling on the calories like nobody's business, and pine nuts playing dirty tricks on your taste buds. These nuts aren't out to get you, but they definitely need a hard pass, or at least a serious side eye, if you're over 65. Knowing their pitfalls means you're one step ahead, ready to keep your heart humming, your liver happy, and your energy dialed up to 10. So, what's the big takeaway? It's all about making choices that lift you up, not drag you down. You deserve to feel like a rock star at every age, and the snacks you pick can make that happen, or not. At Natural Healing Hub, we're all about those little tweaks that spark massive wins. Maybe it's swapping peanuts for almonds to dodge toxins, or saving macadamias for a rare treat instead of a daily dive. Every bite you choose with intention is like a high five to your health, building a body that's ready to tackle morning walks, grandkid playdates, or just chilling with a good book without feeling sluggish. I've seen it work magic time and again. A buddy of mine was hooked on cashews, munching them like popcorn, and couldn't figure out why she was crashing by noon. We cut back, mixed in some walnuts, and kept portions tight. Boom, she was back to crushing her yoga class and feeling like her old self. That's the kind of vibe I'm rooting for you to have. Here's another gem to carry with you: aging doesn't mean settling, it means getting smarter. You've got years of wisdom under your belt, so use it to outsmart those sneaky snacks. It's not about giving up what you love, it's about finding balance. Maybe you keep a small stash of pine nuts for special recipes, but go heavy on safer nuts for everyday munching. Or maybe you get curious and try new snacks altogether. Think pumpkin seeds or sunflower seeds for a change of pace. The point is, you're in the driver's seat, and every choice is a chance to feel stronger, sharper, and more alive. Cleveland Clinic backs this up, saying mindful eating in your 60s and beyond can cut your risk of chronic diseases and keep you independent longer. That's not just science, it's a recipe for thriving. Now, Here's your mission, and I'm pumped to see you take it on. This week, swing by your pantry and give it a quick scan. Spot any of those risky nuts we talked about? Try dialing them back or swapping them for something lighter on your system. Maybe trade cashews for a handful of pistachios or skip pine nuts in your next pesto for some chopped walnuts. Pay attention to how you feel, more energy, less bloat, anything, and let it guide you. Small steps like that add up to big changes, and I'm all about cheering you on. I can't wrap this up without saying a huge thank you for sticking with me through this whole nutty journey. Seriously, it means the world that you spent your time here, soaking up tips to live your best life. You're the heart of Natural Healing Hub, and I'm so grateful to have you in our crew. I'd love to keep the convo going. Drop a comment below and tell me what's up. Are you a macadamia fan who's rethinking your stash? Ever had pine mouth ruin your coffee? Or maybe you've got a go-to snack you swear by, spill the tea. I read every single comment, and it's the best part of my day hearing from you all. Oh, and if this hit home for you, smash that subscribe button and tap the bell. We've got tons more practical, science-backed ideas coming your way to keep you thriving naturally. Share this with a friend, parent, or neighbor who could use a heads up about smarter snacking. Let's spread the love and help everyone feel their best. Here's to you, your health, and all the awesome days ahead. Catch you in the next video. Stay curious and keep shining.